Great. So welcome everybody to this remote interview. My name is Lisette and I'm interviewing people and companies doing great things remotely. And today on the line, all the way from Madrid, Spain, I have Cristina Gomez Prada. And Cristina, you are the Chief Operating Officer at Hanzo Studios, based both in Barcelona and Madrid in Spain. And we're going to get to that in a second because Hanzo has a very interesting story that I'd really like to dive into. But let's start with the first question, which is what does your virtual office look like and what do you need in order to get your work done?
Okay, first of all, thank you, Lisette, for having me here, and hello to everyone. Yeah, my virtual office, it's funny because my husband and I used to have a separate office, each one with all kind of comforts at home. But after giving birth to children, my reality now is that I have a desk in my bedroom. So downgrade. The space is small, but it is enough to work. I have a desk, a large monitor, my laptop, of course, a keyboard, mouse, and I have a notebook with me because I still use a physical notebook. And for me, the large monitor is a must because I work with a lot of applications at the same time, and I have to switch between them. So the large monitor allows me to do that easily, and I work in a more efficient way. Actually, when I travel and I have my laptop, just my laptop with me, I feel it kind of unproductive because of that. So the monitor, the large monitor, for me, it's a must. And another must, I would say, that I need to get work done is natural light. My mood changes if I don't get natural light, and the feeling of claustrophobia is huge. So I'd rather prefer to have a smaller space than a dark space. But I hope soon we will find a bigger house and I will be able to have an office for myself again.
Right. I was going to ask you, so being in the bedroom, how do you keep work and life separate than in your head? What are sort of the techniques that you do?
It's in my bedroom, but my desk is in a corner, so I try to not to have my bed in my area of vision. So it's my bedroom is just to go to bed and have some rest, and then in the morning from 9 to 6 to have work done. So I mean, it's just there are two separate, not separate, but two really clear spaces and separate areas in order to just to work or just to have some rest.
Oh, I like that. So keeping the bed out of the field of vision and really keeping two separate places there. And I
Yeah.
also like, when you're talking about the monitors, I definitely have that as well. And I have to say, I bought a travel monitor that it's like a USB
That's
connection that I take it with me. I'll show it to you on the screen right now for the people that are watching the video. So it's just this like travel monitor with a sleeve.
wow.
I promise. So that's a good tip
That's
for all you
good.
remote workers out there because I can't live without a second monitor. I just have now can't do it. So
Yeah,
I really
good tip. Good tip. I will check it
does.
out.
Yeah, it's a real handicap. So let's dive into Hanzo and what Hanzo does, and then we're going to talk about how you all work. So first, what does Hanzo do?
Hanzo is a design and technology agency that creates digital brands and digital products that generate value to users, the users who enjoy our products, and generate value to businesses, businesses of the clients who hire us. So we have worked with large and small organizations to help them conceptualize, strategize, design, develop, launch, and grow their digital products. And And we like to say that we blend together the best of two worlds: the craft, passion, agility, flexibility of a small boutique studio with the credibility, end-to-end offering, result-oriented approach of a big consultancy. But I think the most interesting part of Hanzo today is that we have been doing all this for 14 years with a distributed team and working remotely. We have a team distributed all over Spain and part of Europe. And we consider ourselves like pioneers in that sense, because we born as a remote company, and we keep and maintain ourselves as a remote company, 100% remote company.
So-
Actually, sorry, go ahead.
No, please go ahead.
Actually, I think there were around, I don't know, like 4 years or something like that. The company was run for a management team. One of the members was based in London, the other one in Barcelona, the other one in Madrid, and the other one in Taiwan. And it worked. We are still here, and we still exist. So I think we had to evolve a lot during these 14 years. But now it's true that working remotely is a commodity, but 14 years ago, it was really innovative. And we started working remotely with Skype, email, and an FTP to share our work with clients. And to work remotely with clients all around the world. We started by going with them to their offices, spend some time with them, and then when they had confidence on us, then we started to work remotely. But it was tough for them, this model of working remotely and not based in the same place than them.
Yeah, 14 years ago, the landscape was totally different. It's hard to keep in mind how fast the technology has evolved in just the last 10 years alone. Because indeed, we were hobbling things together with Skype and email. Teams didn't even exist at the time. There was some form of it. So indeed, it seems like duct tape technology now, but at the time it was working pretty good. It was way better than nothing, that's for sure. So one thing that I found interesting about Hanzo is you're a remote first company, even from the beginning. However, you still have offices. You have an office in Madrid and in Barcelona. Why do you have these offices?
I think having offices is essential also for our remote first company, for two main reasons, I would say. First of all, because it's good to have a place where people can go pop up and work together or not. There are some people who like to go to the office every day. There are other people who never go to the office. There are other people like me who enjoy this hybrid model of going to the office from time to time. So in that sense, having this space just to spend some time together, get together, or work on some collaborative session, I think it's important. But also, when we are working with clients, having this space that represents us, where we can meet together there is also important, because I think the office space tells a lot about the company, about the team working in that company. So I think in that sense is like it's your identity as well, not just your team, your brand, but also your office space. And the office spaces at Hanzo are really peculiar. I would say are special. We have one in Madrid and one in Barcelona, and both of them, they are really, really different. And they have different identity. And I think it's because of the team who is attending them or is using that space in Madrid and in Barcelona. So for us, it's important, even if it's something that is a cost for us as a company, but it's important to maintain them. But our official model is 100% remote, because if we have people in Prague, in Lisbon, in different locations that are not close to our office spaces, then we have to maintain a working model that is the same for everyone. All of us have to work under the same conditions, but it doesn't mean that it's worth it to maintain those spaces.
Oh, I love that. So you keep the offices for the, if I can remember correctly, for two main reasons. One is to have a place for people to come in and work together and collaborate, because sometimes we just need to get together and, like hang out for an afternoon over, a big pile of nachos and whiteboards and stuff. Right. And then the other reason is that you have a space that actually represents, it's like the physical manifestation of the company culture. So it's a place that actually, physically
Exactly.
shows what the company culture looks like for client meetings, for whatever it is. So there's an additional identity around that. I really like that. So then how do you equip the office? What special things have you done for the offices to make sure that you're able to have this remote first culture, that you can connect to people? Or maybe where I should start is, what do you use the offices for now? What do people come in? How does the office get used now when there's this much choice?
For instance, right now, Madrid office, I think there are like two people. I would say that every day, every single day, no matter what, they are going to the office, and they like to be there because they don't have, or they don't enjoy their space at home, or they feel comfortable at the office. So there are people who use the office just because it's their regular virtual office, even if they go physically. And then there are certain times where we use the office just to gather and to work collaboratively in sessions. So, for instance, next week we have people coming from Barcelona just to have a whole day of training session, and the next day we have the visit of a client and we have some presentation with them. So it's a mix between individual work and meetings that require different people in the team just to get together in the same space, just to make it not easier, but I would say like nicer or warmer. It's to me, the office has to have this space to work individually, and meeting rooms just to or gather physically, or just attend a remote meeting via Zoom. So in that sense, I think has to be prepared for this 100% remote, but it has to have also spaces to gather, not the whole team, but a small team to have a meeting or receive a client or
Right.
so.
So it's like the office really needs to become a mixed use space then. There needs to be enough places for the people that need to come in every single day or regularly. Maybe it's not every day, but they're coming in regularly. But it also needs to have a space for remote meetings to happen, because if you're there, you want to have a meeting, you don't want to do it in the open space, but you also need a place to collaborate or just to hang out. Like I can imagine, the value of the office is that you can come in bigger groups and just hang out together, strategize over an entire day, because you can't just, a good strategy doesn't happen in 1 hour. You're going to you need to take some time and hash things out. So then what equipment do you have in the office then to help with that? So how are your meeting rooms set up, for example?
We have like a big screen in this system in order to connect your laptop with the monitor or the TV screen. I think a really good internet connection. I
Ooh,
think
that's also a good question. Like, how fast is the internet? Do you know?
really fast. I have to, yeah,
Okay.
yeah, really fast, really fast. We're proud of that because going to the office is like, you know that everything is going well in terms of internet connection, and you won't have these interruptions or problems with Wi-Fi and connection. So.
It's good. It's surprising how many people complain about the offices having Wi-Fi less good than what they have at home. So it's good to hear that that's not the case. But in
Mm.
terms of like hearing people, you have got a big screen for the remote participants, but what do you use for the microphone?
It depends. Actually, we don't have something specific in the office, but everyone, since everyone is working remotely in the office or at home, has their own good earphones with good mic, and it's true that in the office we don't have anything specific for the sound, but the equipment that everyone brings with him to the office, in this case the earphones and mic, they don't bring the mic to the office, but it is good enough because is the equipment that they are using at home. This is not the case. This is not an example. I'm just using these ones because I at home, but I have a really good earphones, Bose with a good mic, and those are the ones that I use at the office. But at home, actually, I'm not like a really I'm not taking care about the sound because my work is more calls. I can do it when I'm going from one meeting to another. But people, designers and developers who need to stay the whole day at home and having those meetings, they have this kind of system with a really good mic, a camera in on the top of the large monitor. So they have a really good setup, and also for that setup, we help as Hanzo, as the company, we help them economically, financially, in order to help with the cost of that remote setup. So in the office, we
Right.
have like the essential, but not really specific sound system or mics, or just the screens. Of course, the designers has to have a really good monitors and
Right. Right. So, okay. So it's more focused on the individuals have really good equipment so that because most people are connecting individually, or so you're not having these hybrid conferences with lots of people in the office and some people remote, because it's more of a remote first culture. You're using the office mainly for getting together in person and not these hybrid meetings.
yeah, and this is because we have to take into account that we don't have the office and the whole team is close to the office. I mean, we have the whole team distributed around Spain and Europe. So people based in Madrid is less than half the team. So it's not
Right.
like you have to equip our offices for the whole team, 60 people working remotely or in the office. No. We maintain the offices, but maybe 10, 15 people go to the office. So it's not, the use of the office is not it's not necessary to have it like really well equipped.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I want to ask about team building because that's one thing that's been really tough for many companies, especially during the pandemic, right? When we haven't seen each other for a long period of time, the relationships just the ties get weaker. It's a natural part of any relationship. How do you do team building at Hanzo when you're in this hybrid mode?
For me, there is a phrase I heard from a friend of mine that defines it well, and it's my mantra now. And we were talking about how being a manager of a team distributed and a remote team, how do you facilitate this team building? And he said something like, for me, it's clear. You have to work remotely and love in person. And I think it's true. It's important just to facilitate this framework in order with these rules, how to use tools. So work remotely and love in person, and I like it. I think it's so true, and I think it's important. It's important both parts, the working part and the loving one. So this working part of providing a well-structured framework in order to work remotely, what kind of tools you have to use, how to use those tools, like a structured way to communicate and to work remotely. But almost most important one is how you love in person, right? So it's necessary to build bonds between the team, and I think you have to create rituals that are necessary to create them. At Hanzo, for instance, we get together at least once or twice a year. The whole team travels to the same place, and we get together to share some information about the company. How went last year? What's the vision for next year, or the objectives, or to do some work or training sessions, or just to share some time over a beer and some food. But that part of the face-to-face relationship is important, and it comes really natural. As human beings are social almost by definition. So we try to do it, for instance, next week. No, in 2 weeks' time, all the team at Hanzo travels to Barcelona, and we will spend there 2 days. One day is just to have fun and have lunch together, some drinks, and the other is about, we have a training session. We also have like a company updates. We are going to share some work with the teams.
Mm-hmm.
And this is nice. We are 60 people all around Spain and Europe, and some of them never met before. So it's really nice to have those spaces and those moments in order to create that bond. In my team, the other day, we got together to make ceramic coffee mugs, and it was really nice. And the other day, to read tarot cards. So it's just spending time together. I think it creates bonds that help you when you are working remotely later, because you can understand more about people in front of you at the other side of the screen. So I don't know. I think they are important, and it's necessary when you are working remotely to create those spaces and make it happen. So this work remotely and love in person, the love in person is really important.
I love that. Who organizes these events for you at Hanzo?
Some time ago, we were the ones organizing those events because we were small, but little by little we have been growing, and now there are 60 people working at Hanzo. So some, yeah, like the travel and everything, we have an agency, but then lunch we can ask an agency based in Barcelona to organize this for ourselves, but most of the preparation are organized by ourselves. That's the truth. And actually, I think we enjoy doing that. The team organizing that part enjoys planning the whole event. And also, I think it creates a feeling of belonging that it's also nice, because when you finish the event and everyone is with a huge smile in their face, they feel proud of the whole thing, and they were important to make it happen. So
I love it. So like the team building, the creating the team building event becomes the team building event itself in a way. Like the people making the team building, it's also a
yeah.
team building. Like it's an experience together. I love that. So it's like you get double almost,
Yeah,
or like one
yes,
and a
it's
half.
true. It's true. I never thought like that. But when during pandemia, we couldn't get together in any space, so we organized these virtual gatherings, and for that I created I don't remember, like Christmas office committee or something like that, and I think it was better all the preparation than the whole event, because the event was I don't know, it lasted like 1 hour or 2 hours, but all the preparation we were thinking about, that dynamic could be funny. We can show like pictures from when we were kids, and people have to guess who is the one in that picture. So we were brainstorming and we had a lot of fun preparing it.
Right. So I love that. I love that. We're reaching the end of our time, but I still have a
Mhm.
couple more questions. I'm dying to ask. One thing that's really important that's coming up for a lot of people is burnout. How do you keep the people that you're working with from overworking? I mean, it's a funny question because most people are afraid of like, well, how do you make sure people are productive? But I think what we see across the board is most people are productive, if not more so, right? And but so burnout is really the issue. And by your response, I think that's probably also the more concern for your people as well. But how do you keep from people burning out? What sort of boundaries and rules does Hanzo put in place, or is it just on an individual level?
No, I think both at an individual level, but also at a company level. And when we work extra time, every member of the team working extra time get extra time off. So we count all those extras apart from your daily schedule from 9 to 6 or from 8 to 5 or wherever you want to do as a working hours. But if you have like a week that is really tough and we have to work a little bit more because we have a delivery to the client, and then the next week or whenever you can or you want, you can take that time off. So in that sense, we try to be really strict because if you are working remote, it's really easy to stay longer and every day. So you are not looking, you don't see people every day, and then if we don't have this control, I think it's easy to miss that people are working really extra hours, and they can get the burnout. So for that we have like control checks in order to one-on-ones with people to see how they are, and we try to take the temperature of the team regularly. But in the case of extra hours, we always compensate with time off.
Right, right. So, and then how do you know how many hours people are working? Is it just self-reported? So you say like, hey, the contract says, we're hiring you for 40 hours a week, and then you're expected to work 40 hours a week. But are there timesheets, or do people submit that,
No,
or it's just based on
no,
trust?
yeah, but I think if you are working remotely, one of the first thing that you have to have is trust, confidence on your team, because if not, it's not going to work. So it worked really well in the past for 14 years, and that's why we keep on doing in that way. But when I think everyone at Hanzo is really responsible. So if they have to work, they're going to work. If they have a deliver, they are the first one who want to deliver the best piece of work. So in that sense, um, I don't have to be checking if they are spending more or less time, because if they do this amazing piece of work in less time, good for them. And then you can enjoy some drinks after work. I think that they are responsible enough to do that. So we don't control those extra hours, but you can feel it. You can see in Figma that they are working at 8 p.m. and they shouldn't. So when they told you yesterday I was working late, are you okay if on Monday I take the morning off? Of course. So
Right, right, right. So in a sense, it's there's a trust, but there's also a peer pressure to produce, because you're seeing when people don't deliver results, and there's a peer pressure to not work too much, because you're also seeing if people are in some of the tools and they're working late. So it's just a matter of like taking care of each other and sort of
yeah.
paying attention to each other.
Hmm.
So I love that. So many people are worried that people are going to go off and not work, or, you hear about the shenanigans always, but it's so rare. There's always a shenanigan somewhere, but it's just so rare, I think. For the
Yeah.
most people want to do a good job. You want people on the team to like you. You want to be a valuable contributor.
I
Yeah.
think people at Hanzo, working at Hanzo, are very talented. So I think they are passionate about their work. So you don't have to be chasing them to do their work properly. I think they are really self-demanding. Actually, sometimes too much.
Right, right, right. The other
Yeah,
end is, yeah, yeah.
yeah. And we don't have that problem. Maybe it's a matter of the team we are hiring. Don't know, but this is not our problem. I would say that yeah, sometimes they are working too much because maybe we need more people. So in that sense, it's not that they are really self-demanding. It's that we are sort of team here, so you can help
Right.
there, but we don't need these timesheets or chase people. We be chasing people to do their work.
Love it. I love it. So for all the leaders out there who are worried, this is not the issue. There's plenty of other issues to deal with. This is not the one you have to worry about. All right, so
No.
we're reaching the last questions here. So the last question, the last real question I have for you is, for other companies that are thinking about being remote first, what advice would you give to them?
I would say, first of all, trust the team. It requires discipline, but it's not just that. I mean, you have to have some basics before that discipline. So trust the team, because what we were saying, you have to give them the information and tools they need to work and let them work. Sometimes things will not go as you expect, but you have to have tolerance for mistakes. And what is clear is that if you don't have confidence in the team and give them autonomy, the remote can be a nightmare. So for me, the first one will be trust the team. The second basic, I would say, that you have to have empathy. You need empathy to work remotely, because not everyone works in the same way. Some people like to work in the mornings, others in the evening, others need to take a long break at midday. So you have to have some empathy and to have to respect that. Third one, I would say, is more related to all the logistic and operations. And before going remote, I think you need to define really, really well what's the remote working framework, rituals, tools, how you are going to use those tools, the meeting dynamics, some rules for everyone to follow. Will make things easier when working remote, because rules are not the same face to face than remote. So you need to understand and respect those rules to make it work.
I
And
love that.
I would say another tip would be call Lisette. Call Lisette,
Ah,
who is an expert in in online collaboration, to get some recommendations and some teams that for sure are going to help you to move to this remote first model.
Well, all joking aside, what you do recommend in general is training your teams and for how to work in this new way. Because what you said before is working in person is not the same framework as working remote. And so, yes, call me. Of course, I would love if people call me, but there's lots of trainings out there. And so, if people need specific trainings on like maybe how to use SharePoint or how to use Teams or those kind of things, also get those kind of trainings for people. Those are really important. So, I love it. So, trust the team, have empathy, really be clear about your remote working framework, and get your team trained when they need training.
Yeah.
That is great advice for people who want to go remote first. Absolutely great. Very last question, which is an easy one, which is, if people want to learn more about you online, what is the best place to go to find you? I'll of course put Hanzo in the show notes, but if people want to say like, Cristina, I really want to talk to you about this, where should they go?
I think the easiest way is my LinkedIn profile, Cristina Gómez Prada. And then, of course, at hanzo.es. But through LinkedIn, everyone can contact me really easily.
Okay, great. So we'll put that in the show notes so that everybody can do that. Cristina, thank you so much for sharing the story with me today. I really appreciate hearing about all the things that you've tried and what's been working and what hasn't. Thank you so much.
Thank you. It was nice. Thank
All
you
right,
very much, Lisette.
thank you. Until next time, everybody, be powerful.